everybody. This is Boots of the Boardroom podcast. This is Blake Miles here, and we're joined today by our special guest, Benjamin Brooks. Ben, how you doing?
Doing well, thank you very much, sir. How about yourself?
Living the American dream, I guess, since it's right around that time where we get to be talking about that. So that's kind of what
Yeah,
this
man.
special episode is going to be about today, the American dream. So right now, real quick, tell the audience who you are and where you're at right now, and out in the American wilds, and how you're living the American dream right now.
Yeah, I'm Benjamin Brooks. I am a 20-year Navy veteran, still in the reserves. Did 12 years active duty and then the rest in the reserves. Uh, Man, boatload of deployments under my belt. That's okay. Um, when I got out of active duty, I went and got my degrees because I wanted to try and, get a little bit of money and have some things without being pushed out the door all the time. So we uprooted the family here and we went on a vacation to pretty much across the country, right? So we started in Texas and then we're going along the Gulf Coast now. Right now we're parked in Pensacola, Florida, and we are we've got our RV and we're stopping as we go, just looking at cool places, doing cool things. So yesterday we were in excuse me. Yesterday we were in Houston and we saw the Texas Flight Museum, and then we hauled along the coast here and we got some Cajun food, and now we are in, like I said, Pensacola, and we're enjoying the oceanside culture here in the Gulf
Have
Coast.
you eaten any Cajun alligator yet?
We got alligator sausage. I'm not
Excellent,
gonna lie.
excellent.
So we're gonna either fry that sucker up here later,
Yeah,
or we're going to maybe put them in a stew.
we got to keep those alligators in check, or is it? I can't remember if it's crocodiles or alligators, whatever the two. You can't trust them.
It's
Okay, yeah,
alligators.
we can't trust them
Yep.
either way. So how big is that? Do you feel like a bus driver?
Oh yeah,
Awesome,
100%.
awesome.
This thing's the size of a bus. It's 35 feet long. It's got a monster V8 in it. Uh, it's huge, but yeah, it's the size of pretty much a standard bus. There are some that are bigger, of course, but yeah, it's big. It definitely affords a lot of room for the family, so I'm well pleased. We got it for a song. We got it from some guy he said, I'm not taking it out anymore. I'm getting older, and I just want to get rid of it for what I owe. And so we picked it up and gutted the interior, redid it with new carpet, some new decorations. The thing has a washer and a dryer and a gas range and oven, and uh, it's got a queen size bed in the back, two bathrooms. It's
Sounds like
amazing,
good
man. It's a
living,
small
good
house
living.
on wheels.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it ain't
so,
bad.
so like when we were talking about, how are we gonna what are we gonna talk about for Fourth of July and Catalyst program, and talking with Ben, and he's bound down in the southeast driving across the country with his family in an RV, and I'm thinking to myself that sounds like a lot of fun. That's like the American dream, and so the my thoughts on this, what this episode was gonna, I guess, be about is like the ones that didn't make it. I think the vast majority of them, if they had the opportunity to speak, would be like, enjoy the time you have more than, since we didn't get that, that's what you guys are supposed to do. So find ways to enjoy it with the important things in life, because that was probably one of the you know that's the important things that you realize when you're overseas. Ben, how many times did you go over to overseas away from the family?
7 times.
7 times. Yeah. And I only
Yep.
went once on a combat trip and a couple of training trips here and there, but so Ben's been on the receiving end of those long drawn out battles overseas away from the family, and that's I don't know what Ben, when you were deployed, because I didn't have kids when I deployed, so what's that experience
Yeah.
like of going over there with that?
Well, I never had kids when I was deployed. In fact, that's one of the big reasons
Ah,
why I got out of special Navy special warfare, because I wanted to have a family, and I know incredibly rough on those families. There's a high attrition rate because just dad's not
yeah,
around, and it weighs hard and heavy on those families. Nowadays, heck, it could be mom's not around. A lot of these combat support roles are just as arduous, not necessarily, in the line of fire, but with the amount of training and the amount of deployment time, it can weigh just as heavily on anybody who's in that service. But you know what? More power to those people who continue to do it. Now, like I said, I'm in the reserve still, so I'm getting myself all uh, ready to go again. So we have to get ready for that,
yeah,
and it's one of those things that I wouldn't. You want to prepare your family for that, obviously. And I think anybody who's a veteran and who does have a family, I'm preaching to the choir. They know that. But basically, what it comes down to is we have to keep paying in to be able to buy that freedom over and over and over again for our families. And a lot of people say, "Oh, we shouldn't be out there," but the whole point of us not, the whole point of sending troops out there is to not have the enemy on our soil, not have the enemy coming to us in our backyards, right? So
yeah, and
when it comes to
that's
foreign nations, we're doing a good
that's
job.
the best direction to go through. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Especially the way because I always approach things from the unconventional warfare mindset, and you know I think there's a good argument to be made that there is a degree of warfare that you can't see that goes on a daily basis, and a lot of
Oh my
people
gosh, yes.
they just see the big movements. They just see the big movements at the. Did you see the curtain just fluttered? Yeah, there's a lot of machinery spinning around behind those curtains that
Mm-hmm.
most people just aren't even aware of. It's just background noise.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, the people that get to even just imagine what's sort of spinning's going on back there, it would be it's probably a good thing that most people aren't aware of that stuff. They're able to nicely go about their lives without being the strange ones of the family that a lot of us end up being. I think in the military side of
Oh
things.
yeah. Yep, exactly right. It's right now the big front is cyber, you know, and unconventional warfare is never going to
You
go
know a little
away.
bit about that,
Yep, yep, sure do. Um,
just a tad.
yeah, CISSP, and I work with government agencies a lot on the cyber front, and civilian companies as well who are working for the DoD. And so, yeah, it's we're not getting our head handed to us every day, but the folks who think that it doesn't affect them, it doesn't affect their lives, um, they're they're lucky that they can form that opinion because it hasn't touched them heavily enough. Trust me, it affects how
Yeah.
many dollars they have to spend. That's for sure. But
Oh
it's
yeah.
hard to put those equations together in a bubble, right? And when I say that, I mean you
Yeah.
can't see all the information. Nobody's privy to that information except at the very highest levels, and it does touch us every day. And just know that America is trying to do its best to keep the citizens of America safe on that cyber front for sure.
Yeah. I think one thing I've noticed with having kids, especially in the last few years, is the idea of the internet being down. Um, we had the power and the cell towers go down simultaneously for about 3 hours the other day, and it took me a little. Every time it seems like I have to explain to my kids that the information that they get into the house, that can go away. And I don't think there's a lot of people that truly understand just all the implications of disruptions, just even minor disruptions, and what that can play out into. And
Yeah, that's exactly
it,
right.
I think, and I'm starting to think that me and you could probably go down a real deep rabbit hole if we keep pulling at this
Oh
thread.
yes, sir. But but aren't we supposed to be talking about how to celebrate America? Come on, man.
Yeah,
Let's
we
do it.
are. We are. See, I gotta have my guests on, because otherwise I'll start going down rabbit holes and forget where this was supposed to go from the start. So that's why you're here, Ben.
That's all
So
right.
you're down in Florida. What's the view? How's the
Well,
view? How's the
it's
weather?
about as southern as it gets, my good man. Uh, we've got uh, we've got those oak trees with the
I like
Spanish
that. I like
moss
that.
trickling down off of them.
Mm-hmm.
You can hear the bullfrogs and stuff in the evening sitting out in the creek. And then we're actually right by the ocean, which is pretty cool. So we've got some little creeks and
Uh,
such trickling into the ocean out on the Gulf Coast. So ugh, I love it. As a Navy man, I
Sounds
I think
cozy.
it's fantastic. I think it's wonderful.
So, well, I must say that was like a Tolkien esque description of the scenery you have around you. That was very very. I could see it. I could visualize it really well. That was very well laid out.
Yeah, yeah.
But so I have to ask this. So the Navy, full
Hmm.
transparency, my thinking when I enlisted was like I don't I like breathing a lot and I like oxygen. So the idea of going to the Navy made less sense than going into the Army, and that was kind of how I analyzed that one. So from an Army person to a Navy person, like I think there's a lot of similarities about the indoctrination process, for lack of going through the basic training, you know what basic training is, but like from a Navy perspective, what do you think's different from the Army perspective? Because there's a lot of like being on a boat long term just doesn't it sounds wild to me, like something I would rather do less than be on land. So like what do you think that is?
Well, um, everybody's got propensities to do one thing or the other, right? So I think what it really comes down to
Mm-hmm.
is I'm not gonna lie, man. I was on ship for 5 years, and it was it's different, but then I joined special warfare, and that was the ground pound and anti-terrorism fight. So and then when I joined, yeah, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, we were near the ocean, obviously, special warfare, Navy special warfare, but we weren't in the ocean a lot. So, I mean,
Yeah.
everybody knows what the Navy SEALs do, and I'm not saying that I was one. I was in a direct support role. I was there embedded in the team, and I had special missions, and I helped them out however I could. Um, I think we all worked hard to get the mission done. Obviously, we did good work. But when it comes down to it, if you're in the Navy, you better like being wet. That's really what it comes down to. And the more tactical you get,
Yeah.
the wetter you get. So there you
Interesting.
go.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it, I
Yep.
guess. And I never liked being cold, wet, and sandy. Those are my three not happy places.
We
So
call those sugar cookies, man. They got a place near and dear to our heart during PT. It's good stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I was always a fan of what are the star jumpers, where you actually have to grab the sand and the grass and throw those up. You know, that's it's a good little
There you
tactic
go.
to employ.
So there are divers in the Army too. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Oh yeah, and I didn't really want to go down that path. I can swim. Like I could probably save one other person if I really had to, but if it went beyond that, we might be looking at trouble.
So what you're trying to tell
All,
me
all I
is,
needed to do was swim with boots on. That's all I needed. I got to check that block.
right on. I think what you're trying to tell me is the best way that you would want to be, wet is if you were sitting in a pool with a cold one in your hand, maybe floating down the lazy river or something like that.
that that's more acceptable. That's more my speed when it comes to waterborne operations. I can appreciate the beauty of it all.
Waterborne leisure operations. All right, execute.
Although I do want those. Have you seen those handheld? They look like Mega Man, wrist rockets, and it's connected to a propulsion pack on the back, and guys are doing basically boarding ships at sea. They're like flying up in the air using their arm rocket air boosters, and then they land on the ship. Have you seen that
Yeah,
yet?
I saw the Royal Army had a prototype of that, and a guy was on a speedboat behind a ship with a flight
Yeah,
deck, and he took off from the speedboat and landed on the flight deck. That was wild, wasn't it?
that is acceptable. I would be willing to do that for waterborne ops, or the lazy river. I would accept either answer.
Either or.
I just don't think. Yeah, yeah. I think it's a good one or the other.
I imagine it's kind of like, have you ever done the parallel bar hop where you give it the little kick? You're like suspended with your
Yeah, yeah,
arms out. I
yep,
imagine trying to fly is kind of like that, except you don't get the kick. You just kind of, you're pushing down with your arms like you do on the parallel
yeah.
bars and kind of walk yourself.
We're just getting one step closer to the GI Joe Cobra assault vehicles, where they're like, all floating at the same time. Have you seen those? You know which
Oh
ones I'm
yeah.
talking about?
Yep. The
Yeah,
I remember
that's
those toys. They had the little helicopter packs. You remember those?
yeah, yeah. That's exactly right. That's what we need. That's the future. Them and Mech Warriors. That's the future of warfare.
Oh
That's
my
what I'm hoping
Lanta, don't
for,
get me
anyway.
started on Mech Warriors. Boy, that changed the battlefield a lot. Ooh, golly.
Oh man. So we're shooting for about 20 minutes, and this is just kind of a fun episode, and I think we almost pretty much accomplished what I wanted to get with this is have an interesting conversation and a fun one on the 4th of July, and talk about the deeper meaning of it all, and then
Yep.
on up from there, the more interesting and entertaining aspects of life. What do you
Yeah.
what do you think? What's your take on that
Yeah, I mean,
strange?
I'm pretty introspective, so the bigger deal with those who didn't make it, I appreciate that. They would be doing the exact same thing that we're doing out here if they
Yeah.
if they were given the chance. They'd be out here probably hanging out, having a beer, listening to some music, having a good time with their family, maybe, throwing some bags around in the backyard, something like that. Or going out on a ride across multiple states because you can, because it's the United States
Yeah.
of America, you know.
Yep.
They would want
And
that.
your giant bus,
Well, I mean, or
rocking,
motorcycles. And
rocking the giant bus
the
or
giant bus
motorcycle.
isn't
Yeah,
for everybody, but
yeah.
yeah.
Or a motorcycle riding atop a giant bus just for fun,
You
just
know
to,
what? I
just
could
because
rig
you
that,
can.
man. If there's anything that the
Make this
Navy's
happen.
taught me, a little bit of ingenuity and fabrication know-how, you can make a lot
Yeah,
happen.
that's what I like. That all right. I like that aspect of the Navy. That sounds. I can go with that. Lots of knots to tie.
Yeah, come on, man, duct tape too. Let's go. We've got to have the
That's
old,
good. Yeah,
got to
that's
have the
good.
old duct
Good
tape
point. I could imagine the older navies would have done a lot better if they had ready supply of duct tape.
with was it that Flex Seal paste? I bet you could
Yeah,
patch
yeah,
some
just yeah,
cannonball
just
holes
seal
quick.
it, seal that up. Get that down there pronto.
That's it.
Oh
Awesome.
man. All right. So Ben, what do you think? Any other final comments for the audience here?
Yeah, absolutely. A shameless plug for the Catalyst program. I've been working with Dan Hance and all the Catalyst program guys for a long time now, and it's a really good program. If you want to do more, if you want to go further, get more return on your investment in the military, now that you're out of the military, Catalyst program is worth looking into. Not everybody wants to be into business, and that's okay. But if you're interested, there are so many different ways that you could apply that degree. It's not it's not a bad idea to take a look and reach out to them and talk to them about that Catalyst program, because you can get a fantastic degree, start your network if you haven't done it already, and really take off in your career like no other.
And that's the American dream too, I might add. The ability to make friends and do business with anyone and anyone you bump into, and that's I think that's an important component about the sort of network that we're building with the Catalyst program, and why it's important from a from what we're doing from the bigger picture.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, I think that about wraps it up. We're coming in about 23 minutes, which sounds like a nice, strange number to end at. So, Ben, last thoughts? Anything?
I already gave the shameless plug. Hooyah,
Oh
America,
yeah,
and have a
there
fantastic
you go.
4th of July, everybody.
Excellent. All right, have a good one, everybody. And this is Blake Miles with Boots to the Boardroom.